Amy, I hope you can improve the food. It's not very good. What do you mean by not very good? I want better bread, and there are better ovens for baking bread now. Alright, I'll tell the housekeeper, Emmanuela, about it. I'm Amy Anderson, 35 years old, and I work as a full-time FX trader from home. I met my husband, Eric, who's 2 years older than me, at my old job. We worked at a small mail-order company. He worked in the pet food department, and I worked in cosmetics, answering customer calls. Our company didn't follow the labor rules, so we worked a lot of overtime, and usually stayed late. We'd go for drinks once a week to relax after work with some coworkers. At that time, even though we had good pay because of all the overtime, we didn't have time to enjoy it. The only thing we looked forward to was those weekly drinks to cope with how tired we were. I started dating Eric, and we got married 3 years ago. After marriage, I quit my job and stayed home for a while. Then, I started looking for something I could do at home and found FX trading. I read a lot of books, researched online, and studied FX trading. It wasn't easy at first, but I kept learning and eventually became good at it. I bought a computer just for FX trading, opened a trading account, and practiced with small amounts. Over time, I developed my own way of trading and started earning steadily. But my in-laws, Nicholas and Julia, didn't understand what I was doing. Last year, Nicholas retired, and they were living in public housing. Eric invited them to live with us in our 3-bedroom apartment because he thought it would be hard for them to live on their pension alone. I pay the rent for our apartment, and while Eric works, I cover all the living expenses since I started making money with FX trading. Mom, Dad, Amy will take care of the bills, so you don't have to worry, Eric told them. Thank you, Amy, that's very kind, they replied. And that's how I ended up living with Eric's parents. I don't do the housework myself. Emmanuela, our housekeeper, does everything. She's a great cook and helps with all the chores, which gives me more time to study FX trading and write about it. But Nicholas and Julia didn't like that. When they first moved in, they were polite and thankful, but after 2 months, they started saying, "What's the point of having a wife who just stays home and doesn't do any housework? She just sits in front of the computer all day. FX trading is just gambling." They didn't say it directly to me, but I could tell they were talking to Eric about it. Since I was paying for everything, Eric no longer needed to worry about the bills, and he started spending more on his clothes. He always wore custom suits, carried expensive bags, and wore designer shoes. He loved fashion and seemed happy, so he defended me when his parents complained about my work. But recently, Eric's attitude changed. "Amy, you're always sitting in front of the computer, and you never wear makeup or dress up. Don't you think that's boring and unattractive? Do I really need to wear makeup and fancy clothes when I'm just staying at home? It might be fine for you, but it's not good enough for me." "What do you mean not good enough for you? Are you saying I'm not good enough because I don't dress up?" "Exactly. Don't you ever want to dress up for me so I'm more attracted to you?" "Attracted to me? Are you serious? Do I need to dress up for you to find me attractive?" After that conversation, Eric started complaining about me to his parents. One evening, after dinner, I overheard this. "Amy always makes fun of us. She makes us feel bad." "Yeah, it feels like she thinks we're poor just because we used to live in public housing." "I agree, I feel that way too. And the fact that she doesn't do any housework shows she thinks she's better than us. She's just gambling to make money and acts so bossy about it." Anyone can do FX trading. Amy just studied a little on her own and started earning $80,000 a month. I could do that too. You're right, Eric, you could do it too. I don't like how she acts so arrogant when she's just making money by gambling. She doesn't work hard for it. Anyone can do what she's doing. Plus, she's not even cute. I don't know who she thinks she is. I was working from home, but Eric and I used to have breakfast together before he left for work. Eric still works at the same company we both used to work for, so he comes home late. We should have valued breakfast as our time together, but Eric started skipping it, saying, "Just eat breakfast on the way." Seeing this, Julia said, "Eric's getting tired of you because you don't even do your duties as a wife. That's what happens, Amy." She said this in a sarcastic way. "What do you mean duties as a wife, Julia? If you mean housework, hasn't Emmanuela done it all perfectly? These so-called duties as a wife are outdated." "Outdated? We value the old customs in our family. Your grandmother-in-law used to discipline me a lot." "Discipline? Isn't it enough if the housework is done? I'm paying Emmanuela enough for it. Do you think this is about money? Just because you're paying for everything, doesn't mean you can talk down to us. You shouldn't be bossy about it. Julia, who said this to me, seems to be spending a lot of money on socializing with people her own age in the apartment building now that she doesn't have to pay for living expenses. I sometimes see her going out with expensive brand bags that she must have bought. Nicholas spends all of his pension on golf. He's bought new clubs and has a golf bag right by the front door. I'm paying for everything, including the rent and all of their living expenses, and yet these people still act this way, even though I question their behavior. My in-laws had nowhere else to go, so I just put up with them for now. About a month after Eric stopped having breakfast with me, he started going on more business trips. He told me he was starting a new department at his company and was planning to import LEDs from Korea, so he had to travel there more often. One weekend, Eric was supposed to be in Korea on a business trip, but when I went out for dinner with my friend Lily at a fancy Italian restaurant, I saw Eric there with another woman. Lily pointed him out, saying, "Hey, Amy, isn't that your husband?" At first, I tried to convince myself it wasn't him, but it clearly was. Every time Eric said he was going to Korea, it meant he was spending the weekend with another woman. The woman with him was young, probably in her early 20s, much younger than Eric, who's 37. I remembered Eric asking me once, "Don't you want me to be attracted to you?" That made it clear to me, my husband was definitely cheating on me. The next day, I hired a private investigator to look into the affair. Lately, I had also been getting packages addressed to Julia at our house. "Julia, did you buy something again?" "Be quiet, Amy. Do I need your permission to buy anything?" "No, that's not what I mean." Julia had recently become obsessed with online shopping, buying expensive brand bags and jewelry. I was worried because there are many fake items sold online, and I didn't want her to get scammed. And I was right. One day, when Eric was at work, Julia came into my office and said, "Hey, Amy, come take a look at something." I followed her to the living room, where she was opening a package that had just arrived. "I bought 5 bags, they were cheap as a bundle," Julia explained. When I looked at the bags, I could tell they were fake. "Julia, you have to be careful when buying online, especially with high-end brands. There's a good chance they could be fake." I was shocked to see how much she'd paid for them. "What should I do with these 5 bags?" she asked. "I think you should contact the seller and see if they have a return policy." She tried to reach out to the seller, but there was no phone number or working contact details. When she finally found a number, it was out of service. Julia had spent $5,000 on 5 fake bags. The website seemed legitimate at first, but the prices were too low to be true. She paid by bank transfer, and there was no way to reverse the payment through her credit card. "Julia, you really have to be careful. If the price is too good to be true, it probably is. You need to think carefully before buying anything, especially online." Don't act like I don't know what I'm talking about, Amy. It's not that. You just wasted money. Paying $5,000 for fake bags is ridiculous. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Since talking didn't help, I went back to my room to work. Then, after dinner on Sunday, Nicholas suddenly told me to stop doing FX trading. He had gone golfing with a friend from his old job and heard about FX trading. He said, "I heard Forex trading is a scam. Amy, are you making money by scamming people?" "What? How do you make money with FX trading? That sounds like what scammers do. I heard it's all a scam." "No, I'm not scamming anyone or making anyone invest in anything. I saw you using social media. That's what scammers use to trick people." "No, I just write a blog for people who are interested in FX trading. There's nothing scammy about it." "You think you can fool me just because I don't know anything about computers?" "No, I'm not fooling or scamming you. Dad thinks you're scamming because it looks too easy for you to make money, Amy. It's not easy money, Eric. I've told you this before. It's not that simple. You just learned a little and now you're making a lot. It must be easy. Meanwhile, I'm busting my ass at work, starting this new department." "What? Eric, I thought you were supporting me in my FX trading. Do you want me to stop doing FX trading? If I do that, how will we pay for everything? We won't even be able to afford the rent." "I can pay the rent myself, since I'm the full-time FX trader." Eric and his family were living off the lifestyle I paid for, yet they didn't seem grateful. They only complained about my FX trading. The next day, I got the results from the private investigator I had hired. It turned out Eric was cheating on me. He was having an affair with a 25-year-old woman, 12 years younger than him. I didn't know her, but she worked with Eric at the company after I left. She'd gone on several business trips with him to Korea. For a few days, I thought about how to tell Eric. This would mean the end of our marriage, and a divorce. That same day, Emmanuela made dinner for us. Just as she was leaving, Julia spoke up. Amy, I talked to Nicholas and Eric, and we don't like anything about you. We've decided to live on our own. I want you to leave. Eric hadn't come home from work yet. We don't want money that comes from your scams. We don't like how you act like you know everything. We've discussed it with Eric, and we've decided you should leave. I had a feeling this was coming. Fine then. Eric wasn't even home, which made it clear he didn't care about me anymore. I realized I didn't need to take care of their lives anymore, so I packed my bags and moved to a hotel. The divorce happened soon after that. Since I'd discovered Eric's affair during our marriage, I was able to file for alimony. I rented a one-bedroom apartment just for myself and moved in. I changed the lease on the old apartment where I lived with Eric to his name. 4 months later, I got a call from Eric. He said he wanted to talk and would come to my new apartment. I had a bad feeling when Eric showed up with Nicholas and Julia. Amy, we're sorry. We apologize for everything. Please come back and live with us, Eric said, sounding regretful. Nicholas and Julia quickly joined in, apologizing too. What is this? I asked, confused. Eric, looking down, explained that they couldn't afford the rent anymore. We're about to be evicted and have nowhere to go. Amy, please help us. What are you talking about? Eric went on to explain that after I left, his new department failed. The LEDs they imported were defective, with faulty sockets and bulbs about to fall off. They had to recall the entire shipment, which caused major problems. Eric was fired from his job. Trying to make money on his own, Eric invested in forex trading using his small savings, but lost it all by making bad trades. Nicholas tried to use his own savings to invest in stocks, but that didn't work either. They had no money for rent, and no way to move out. Eric begged, please help us. Amy. I was stunned. We're divorced. Eric. I know, but please, help us. What happened to your young girlfriend? When I lost my job, I couldn't get in touch with her anymore. Yeah, why would she stay with someone who got fired? Eric continued to beg. Amy, you're all I have left. Please, let's get remarried. Let's start over. Nicholas and Julia also joined in, apologizing for their behavior, admitting they were wrong, and asking for another chance. Please, Amy, they said, let's be a family again. I was firm. No way in hell I'm doing that. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. They continued to argue, but when I threatened the police, they finally left. After that, Eric called me twice more, asking me to get back together, but I refused both times. I didn't care what happened to him or his parents anymore. Spending so much time alone, working as a trader, I realized it was time to start dating again. I talked to Lily, and she said she'd introduce me to someone. Tomorrow, I'm meeting her and her friend. I'm looking forward to it and to starting a new chapter in my life.